You need to bring your
What?
culture and your your customs.
To here?
Customs to here. Because otherwise you're gonna be
What?
struggling
Lost?
a little bit.
Struggling, yeah. Good morning, guys. So once again we're here on another segment with Ken and Carlos here in Hastings. It's our day 2, and today we're on for another topic which is very interesting because both of us are coming from overseas. So he came from Spain, all the way from Spain, and started working in the UK, and I came from the Philippines, all the way from the Philippines, started working in the UK as well. So our topic for today is, how does it feel for us or for you if you came from overseas to live here in the UK? So I know that there's a lot of the highs and the lows of living far away from home, thinking much more than me because I came from another continent. So I came from Asia, but he came from Spain, so it's like down in the Europe, but still it's still overseas because he's been living here for how many years?
Already I've been here for 3 years. Yeah.
3 years. Me, I've been here for 4 years, so going 5 years actually. So I arrived here 2015 February. And when did you arrive?
I arrived in June 2016.
And which part of UK did you
Did
you first stay?
Birmingham, Wolverhampton.
And me, I came from automatically I was assigned in London, so I was living in the big city but in the outskirts actually. So I was living in northwest of London, so it's quite far in the city center, not really like far, but around like 45 minutes. But really, I mean, life living here in the UK, as I said, has got highs and lows. So you know, sometimes I miss home, you know, I miss the food, I miss the vibe, you know, because life here in the UK is so different from back home. So I don't know with him because he lives in a very small town.
It's not a major shock. I would say it's not a major shock because Europe is Europe.
Yeah,
all countries have a lot of similarities.
Yes, but
also it's not as different as, for example, say in Asia. Asia will have a lot of different things from Europe, and if you come here so far away, at the end you end up missing your family a lot.
Yeah.
But for example, in my case, it's not the case because I managed to go home quite a lot, so I don't get to miss my family as if.
Yeah, but because for me it's way too different because I normally go home like once every year or like once every 2 years because of the fare. You have to consider a lot of things, your budget, you know, it entails a lot of money as well when you go home. But living here in the UK has given me so much opportunity to like see the world because this is like the center, and I was so surprised because you can always book anytime here your flights. You know, it's so cheap, considering that it's the heart of Europe, so you can always go from one country to another, and Europe is like really a compact continent, so you can always cross from one country to another. So probably that's one of the advantages of living here in London or living here in the UK. And
I would say because of the diversity of cultures, you can cook.
Well,
talking about food,
yes.
You can cook whatever you want.
Yes.
If you want to make your own traditional Spanish dishes, you can, if you know the recipes.
But can you purchase like?
You can just go to the supermarket.
Yeah,
and
but
buy
can you purchase like the ingredients coming from
Spain?
Spain?
Of course, that's what I'm talking about. You can buy. That's the good thing. That's the point. What I'm saying is, you can buy the ingredients. You can buy all the groceries, and you can make your own exact recipes. And you can feel like as if you were at home, basically.
And another thing for me as well, because coming from Asia, our currency is way too different when you convert your money to here. When I had like my first salary, it was the first time I received such amount of money. I was like, oh my god, this is like 1 year's salary for me in the Philippines. And here you just have to like to work like let's say 1 or 2 months, and then you gain your 1 year's salary. down from my country to here like for only a month. So it makes a lot of difference actually. But the thing is, of course, I'm not spending peso here, I'm also spending pounds. So the thing is, lifestyle here in the UK is, I would say, depends on the area where you live. Because if you live in London, of course the cost of living is so high, but still you can save, because it depends really on your attitude of, you know, your attitude of being thrifty, and you know how to budget your money, and you can still save, you know, regardless of which part of UK are you living. So I mean, it all really depends on you. But the thing is, when I arrive here, my mind can stop calculating, like converting, like, oh, this is so expensive. Oh, one can of beans is like, oh my god, this is like five cans of beans in us, and here it's like only one. So you know, until such time that you get used to like the life here, and then you stop like converting money from your own currency to like the currency down here. So probably that's one of the biggest differences of me as I step into a new country, like, you know, very far from Asia, you know, very far from Asia, like in London. Anything more you can say?
I don't know.
Accent. Oh, one thing is really language. For me, language is one thing. You know, when I arrived here, I was like, everyone was like, can I have a cup of water? Can I have a cup of tea? It was like, everyone's so posh. And you know, the accent was like, come again, you know. I was so afraid to answer the telephone when it starts ringing on the hospital when I started working, because you know, I might get it wrong, I might not understand what they're saying, although I speak English, but you know, it's way too different. So it takes a lot of guts and confidence for me to like really you know, get hold of, you know, how they speak. And you know, I don't know with you, but
yeah, first I wasn't afraid of doing things wrong or learning from mistakes.
yeah, but sometimes Spanish, you know, a lot of Spanish workers come here in the UK without, and they haven't got any good command for English.
True.
It's
If
so
you
difficult.
If you come without a level of English or without a good level of English, then you will struggle a little bit more.
It's
It
just
wasn't my
difficult.
case, because I mean, I felt confident from the first day, but obviously you need to have like a couple of weeks of settlement. You need to get to know how things work here, because it's a little bit different from your origin country.
Another thing as well that I observed is, you know, the sense of community. You know, it's way too different, because in Asia, in the Philippines, we know everyone in the community. I know my neighbors, you know, I get to see them, and you know, I get to chat and talk to them. But for me, in my case, when I started living here, everyone mind their own business. You know, it's very unusual for you to like see someone, you know, and to know your neighbors, like really, you know, to get to know them. Because for me, I haven't even seen my neighbor in the last, you know, the current address that I have, like in our flat. I never got any contact with my neighbor. So that's just like probably one of the downside here, because you know, back home we're used to like really know each other in the community. So maybe for you as well, it's like the same. So I'm not so sure, like in Spain.
Yes and no. It's not a sense of community. It's not as good, or it's not as close. It's not as close as Filipino.
Yeah, but people like
But yeah, it's true that when you see a Spanish, you say like, oh, you're Spanish, right? And then you're gonna be nicer to them than
like
English or
probably
like,
or
natives.
any other nationalities. And one thing as well, it's way too difficult, not really like difficult, but I would say a challenge for you to like really not speak on your own language during work in the workplace. So you know, sometimes if I see another Filipino, oh, you're from the Philippines, you know, I started speaking in our own language, and then you know, sometimes it's too offensive for, you know, for other cultures, you're speaking in other languages. So that's one thing probably that you can't really avoid, because when you come from overseas and then you come here and then you get used to like the language, because your mind normally is like processing, and it's like trying to like scan how to convert it, your own words into English or into British English. So sometimes I find it like really challenging for me. You know, it's so stressful sometimes when you speak for the whole 12 hours or for the whole time English and not speaking your own language. So sometimes I need a break, you know. I need to rest, you know, and to like, you know, reset my mind, because it's too much for my brain to like absorb everything. Like, I'm not speaking my own language, and English is not my first language. And you know, sometimes I like wanted to like speak my own language, but you can't, because you know, you don't want to offend someone, you don't want to offend other nationalities because you speak a different language. But that's just how it is, you know. Here in England or here in the United Kingdom, it's a melting pot of cultures. There's a lot of immigrants, and you know, everyone just have to like respect each and everyone, you know, because we are different. Every one of us are different, and we come here for a purpose. I think managed to like probably hit a lot of points. For those who are really planning to like go overseas and live here in the UK, it's best probably to like really assess yourself if you know if your heart and your mind is really prepared for this, because it takes a lot of challenge to transfer from your own country, get out from your comfort zone, and go to a certain country that you don't know someone. Everything's new. You might probably get culture shock, you know, much more if you come from a different continent where culture is way too different and traditions are different. So you have to like really, you know, try to like acculturate, try to like really get that sense of involvement with what's happening here, so that, you know, transitioning from your own country to transferring to another country would be much easier for you and not so much difficult, because others are not coping really well and they ended up going back home. So much more, you know, when I've experienced a lot of other nationalities, like, you know, Spanish per se, you know, if they don't have really good coping, they normally like go back to their home country and, you know, just prefer to stay there.
Well, it's not because they don't cope well. I think it's because they miss the family or they miss their culture
like
so much. Because, for example, the weather is a really important element of the Spanish culture. So if you don't have, if you are living in a place where it's not always like, you know, sunny, or you don't have a pleasant weather, then you will struggle on your daily basis. So it's gonna be a little bit hard for you. And also, if you don't know how to cook.
Yeah, I know, right? So you have to be independent. That's one thing as well. You know, independence is a must here.
You need to bring your culture and your your customs to here, because otherwise you're gonna be
struggling. Yeah, that probably ends our vlog for this time, our discussion about how does it feel to live here in the UK if you come from overseas. So I hope, and we hope, that, you know, you get so much from us, you know, at least, you know, some points that is probably gonna be beneficial for you if you're like planning to like transfer, not necessarily here in the UK, but probably in any other countries in the world if you really wanted to, because transferring is a big and major decision that you have to think about. You know, you have to like really think a lot of times if you really wanted to. But once you're here, I would say it's like a roller coaster ride, and your life will change drastically, like 360 degrees, like what happened to us. So have a nice day, and we're just gonna continue exploring and, you know, enjoying the sunny Hastings down here. And I hope, don't forget that you will subscribe to my channel, itKENbeyouradventures, and, you know, to get more updates and to get more of our discussions. We will have more follow-up discussions, like a lot of things that we're gonna talk about travel, lifestyle, anything under the sun, that will probably and surely be interesting and be beneficial to a lot of our people out there. So if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, so head off to my channel and click subscribe to get further notifications. So thank you so much, everyone, and we're gonna see you on the next adventure. Bye.
Bye.